Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. So today I am barefaced for you. I'm not wearing my rings because it's gonna get messy. I thought what I would do is create a look using only techniques that I don't like. So you guys know there's so many techniques I despise in makeup. Excess product, baking, too much product, everything like that. So what I thought I'll do is I'll put them into practice for you guys today and just kind of talk about why I don't like them, maybe why they're not benefiting you and your makeup routine. Yeah, let's just do it. Let's get straight into it. If you don't know who I am, first of all, if this is your first time here on my channel, welcome. My name's Robert. I'm a professional makeup artist here on YouTube and also in real life. And it's my goal here on YouTube to help you become a pro yourself or just someone who's really good at makeup. And sometimes that means, well, most of the time that means separating what we see online versus what we can actually do in real life, what's realistic, what's actually beneficial in real life as well. So that's what we're doing today. Just a small little disclaimer here. These are all products that I actually really like. I really like to use them. So it's not a case of me not liking the product because they're all products I've used before or used the brand before and really like. But I just want to show you that sometimes product reviews or what you see online might not be given off a right impression because it's been used in the wrong way, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Let's start with the first product. This is the VDL Lumi Layer Primer. This is one of my absolute favorite primers because it gives you a really nice glow to the skin. One thing I really hate that I see people do is squeezing product direct onto their face. One, because it's dumb. Second of all, because this right here is enough to do my whole face. Let me just show you how far this one little bit of primer will stretch. I've already on my nose, my forehead, my cheeks. Oh, I guess I really can't without ruining everything. But can you see that tiny bit of primer is going around my whole face? Whereas now I have to use all of this product. Such a waste of product. I swear this was a technique that was like planted by companies to try and get you to buy more and use up their product quicker. One thing as well about priming the skin and prepping the skin excessively is that your skin in certain areas may be drier than other areas on the rest of your face, or it may be oilier than other parts of your face. For me, I know that around here and here can be quite dry, whereas my forehead and down the middle of my nose is extremely oily. So at some point, our skin is going to start to reject any kind of moisture that this primer is giving us. And then we're going to have an uneven surface, which is going to create a slip for our foundation. So it's almost like your primer is doing the complete opposite to what you want it to do. It's meant to give us longevity. It's meant to help our foundation last a long time if we use it the right way. So, I mean, you can see this primer gives a really nice glow. It's a little bit excessive now. I look like a tin man because we've used so much. Anyway, so there's not so many techniques that I hate for brows, so I'm literally just going to gel them up a little bit. I will link all the products that I use below also for you guys. There's some affiliate links here as well, but they'll be clearly marked. Hi, we're here now. One of my biggest hates in makeup is excessive eye primer. So let's do that. It's great that people are using eye primers, but I see a lot of brushes being loaded up like this, completely loaded up with eye primer, like it's some dirty brush they found. And then what we're gonna do, we're gonna sculpt out the brow, which is absolutely fine. And then it always baffles me, but some people take it across here. Just this chunk alone is a complete waste of product. There's no real harm depending really on your eyelids. I know that for me, my eyelids are super oily, so this is gonna start creasing on me because my eyelids can't handle that much product. But I saw, I can't remember where it was now, somebody was like, oh, I had to use that much primer because of the look I was doing. Let me just tell you something. Excessive eye primer doesn't help any more than just a thin layer of eye primer. Literally, there's no difference. If you're gonna do a really bold look or you're doing a really natural look, the amount of eye primer that you use doesn't make a difference at all. Actually, in some cases, the more eye primer you use, the worse it's gonna look because it's gonna start creasing on some people. So you can do a light layer of product. It isn't made to do this. This wasn't how eye primer was made to be used ever. Back in the day when people were inventing eye primer, they weren't like, yeah, we want it packed on, we want it like unibrow style. And I see some people use it under the eye, which is absolutely fine, just not too much. But eye primer isn't a concealer. It shouldn't be a two-in-one product. There was a primer I was using once and I absolutely hated it. And people were like, yeah, but you have to tap it in for like 5 minutes. Who the fuck has time? If I'm doing a bridal makeup, actually no, let's say we're backstage at Fashion Week and you have 10 minutes to do the model's makeup, which is a good amount of time. Let's say we have 8 minutes and the key artist comes over, that's the person in charge, and it's like, oh, Robert, have you finished doing your model yet? And I'm like, oh no, I'm still actually just tapping in my eye primer. Dumb. So dumb. The amount of products that's left on this brush, that will give you 1 or 2 good, like, light applications of eye primer that will hold your look on all day. You'll get the same amount of color payoff as this. Here's another thing. If you're using an eye primer that is more liquidy and not as like waxy as the MAC paint pots, eyelids are skin. It absorbs moisture in different ways in patches. I know for me, in my inside corner here, they're extremely dry, so it's going to suck up as much moisture as it can, you know? So you may even find you get a really uneven application of shadow on the lid. So with eyes, there's not too much I don't like about eye makeup, so I'm going to do kind of just like a decent eye look. There's also, actually saying that, there is one technique I don't like, let's try it a little bit here, is when people build up product like this. So they kind of pack on eyeshadow and create this like solid line. Here's the deal with solid lines and eye makeup. You're either going to have to take forever to blend it out because you don't have much like makeup experience, or you get this kind of uneven. Can you see? This is the same color. Can you see that kind of shadow of a lighter color around the darker color? That's where our really thick layer of eye primer is making the eyeshadow uneven. Because now we're even using excessive eyeshadow to create this kind of shape, which we really don't need. You see that a lot on these kind of like makeup course academies. If you want to learn how to do makeup and want to be a professional makeup artist and not just somebody who can only do like a certain type of look, then go to an actual makeup school, like a decent price one that just does the basics, teaches you hygiene, teaches you how to like ensure yourself, you know, teaches you the basics in makeup. Because really, a lot of makeup is just going to be down to your experience and talent. You'll learn as you go. So I'm going to take a brown that's a little bit lighter, and we're just going to kind of buff out this solid line here. And this is what a lot of people do again. You see this a lot on Instagram, is they have to now take a lot of time to buff out this solid line. And I actually usually use a smaller brush than this, but I have things to do today. And my idea with this video is to kind of get my makeup looking decent. Like, I don't want it to look like crap, you know? And then I'm going to take one shade even lighter than that and just go around the outside here. I personally like to work lighter to darker. Some people prefer to do darker to light. That's not an issue. But if you do it darker to light, then you have to blend and buff a little bit more. That's the only thing. So it depends how much blending you really want to do. Okay, so we're going to do a cut crease. And to cut the crease, I'm going to use concealer. To cut a crease, I would usually use an eye primer. I'm going to use the same brush as I did with my eye primer before. Concealer, again, is made to be with the skin, meant to be on the face. It has things that hydrate the skin, it has things that moisturize the skin, because it helps the product to actually stick to the skin. Putting a concealer on top of eye makeup is actually putting a layer of moisture on top of the eyes. So I'm expecting to have a few creases. One thing that I totally should have done, which it's just coming to my mind, is when people hold up their eyebrows. So you can see where we have that nice rounded shape here. As soon as I lift, the shape completely changes. So if the shape is different like this, and I'm creating this perfect kind of rounded shape while lifting my brow, imagine how it's going to look when the brow drops. It's going to be a completely different shape. And that's, again, you see that a lot on Instagram, is people like holding up the brow. I see it as like the makeup equivalent of when you go to try on clothes and you look in the mirror and you breathe in and you lift everything up and it's like, yeah, this looks really nice, but you don't walk around breathing in, you know? Like you don't walk around lifting up your eyebrow. I'm just going to speed through the eyes here because there's not really much else to talk about. I'm just going to take this eyeshadow from Clio. It's called Prism Air. It's a really nice, soft, metallic looking eye shadow. Okay, so before we finish up the eyes, let's do concealer. But first of all, we can't do a video about techniques I hate without over color correcting. I have some redness here, which I'm going to use too much of this green color corrector with. This is a really nice green color corrector used in tiny, you know, tiny amounts, but when it's overly excessive. And then what I see a lot of people do is they just use any color anywhere for the thumbnail. So I'm going to put yellow there for no reason, which does also cancel out red, so I guess it's something. And then I see people use like a lilac under the eyes sometimes, and then I'm going to put purple here, and then we just tap it all in with a sponge. And then usually what happens on like Instagram videos is that the whole thing disappears because they take it off camera. So color correcting is really, really good, but you don't need this much product. And we have seen videos, especially in my like reaction videos, where people color correct so much that their whole face turns orange, or their whole face is green, or their foundation now has like a green undertone, you know? Sickly. So now I'm completely color corrected. Let's go in with our concealer for under the eyes, and what we're going to do is a big triangle just here. And I'm just using any colour that's like light. And let's do the middle of the forehead as well. Okay, and let's just tap this into place. Now, here's the reason, obviously, I don't like excessive concealer under the eyes. Is one, because it gets really cakey and completely changes the colour of your foundation. Usually when people do, oh, we haven't even put foundation on. Oh, I should have done that first. Whoops. Oh well. What the fuck am I doing? So now... Okay, you know what? We're fine, because now we can go in with our contour. Now, one technique I absolutely hate that you see online is when people draw on contour like this and they just use a darker foundation. They don't use they don't use like a contour shade. They don't use a contour shade, they just use like a foundation that's darker than their skin. Looks good. All right, let's blend that in just by tapping into the face. Let's see if we can get my skin tone kind of back to normal. Okay, so I've spent about 15 minutes blending that all in. So now we're going to go back into the eyes and finish up underneath the eyes. Now, some people might be like thinking I'm kind of overdoing it with the amount of product that I've used on my face. But again, you can see from some of my like reaction videos to like Instagram that people do genuinely use this much product. They pack on foundation, they pack on color corrector, but the way that texture shows up on the skin is so horrific. And let me just tell you something, it looks awful now, but imagine this in daylight, in real lighting. So although we've kind of already got quite orange, what we're gonna do is add bronzer on top of this. But instead of kind of being like strategic with where we do it, we're just going to put it in the number 3 down the side of the face, which is kind of what you're taught to do, is to kind of bring it down here and then up around here. But the only issue with that is that everyone has a different face shape. So the number 3 might not be suitable for your face shape. Now, I know some people swear by baking, but let me just tell you why I don't like it. Apart from drying out under the eyes, because that's how it keeps product on sometimes, by drying out, it looks extremely textured and horrible in real life. And I've seen some people that they're like, I love baking and it looks fine on me, and then I see their makeup and it's like, what do you consider fine? And I also get comments like, well, if I don't bake, what am I meant to do? It's like, there was a time where only theatre actors and drag queens baked. What did you think people did then? You know? And here's the thing, I don't mind baking so much like on the nose or the rest of the face. It's under the eyes. It's treating that skin that we all know is so delicate and so thin. You still have to treat it with respect when you're doing your makeup as well. It's not just skincare. It's still going to dry out. It's still going to get all crepey. And if you're doing this a lot, you're just going to ruin that skin. I watched the most horrendous video. I actually followed along with it. It was Huda Beauty doing the, oh, it's crucial to bake, and then try to sell her baking powder, you know? Like, it's not crucial. It's not a thing that you absolutely have to bake at all. But what I am going to do, I'm just going to use some of that powder again. Another thing I really don't like is excessive powder. Not everyone has to powder. I'm just taking what's left over on my sponge from baking and then just pushing that into the skin. Again, a very theatrical technique. You don't have to use powder if your skin isn't excessively oily. It's really not necessary. It's nice to see online now, a lot of influencers are thinking about whether or not they actually need powder and where they need powder. Powder should be a when and if it's necessary situation. It isn't a necessity always. You can let that sit for a little bit. Can we just see that creasing where I use that concealer on the lid? If you're new to makeup and someone's let you, you know, do their makeup for a really special occasion, please don't bake them because it's going to look crappy in pictures. You're going to ruin their special day. And then we're going to use some blusher as well, just on top of that, just willy-nilly. Okay, and now we're going to highlight. Here's one of my biggest pet peeves of highlight, is that people use it just where they think highlighter should go, and really, really excessively. It's almost like they've used it as like an undercoat to another product, and they do this, they cover the whole lip. So highlighter, for it to look really nice and kind of natural, should be used in a way that it's placed where light naturally bounces off your skin, not just where, you know, here, here, and here. Again, everyone's face shape is different. Everyone's face catches light differently. So I don't wear lip products, but I'm going to put a little bit on just to kind of get rid of that foundation lip. Okay, let's wax some lashes on. Okay, so that is the full look of techniques that I really hate using. So here, oh, let me turn this down. Okay, so ring lights obviously make everything look better. Let's turn this right down. Look at that texture on the skin where I've baked. Look at that, that's awful. Highlighter all caught up in my pores because I haven't thought about where I'm positioning it. I think with most of the techniques that I really don't like seeing online, it all kind of comes down to how they look in real life and how they actually work in real life, which a lot of the time they don't. My face. I can't start looking at my face. Anyway, guys, I would love to know if there's any techniques that you've seen online that you tried to put into practice in real life and just could not get on with them at all. Yeah, let me know below, because sometimes the internet can be like false advertising sometimes. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this adventure we had today. It's been crazy. I don't think I'll be doing it again. Don't forget to like this video if you did like the video. Consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this. Well, not exactly this. And I will see you very soon. Bye.